Hi, I'm Jake. I make RPG supplements and videos about Pathfinder 2. A lot of videos about Pathfinder 2. We're continuing with Howl of the Wild. We're covering the Ancestry Surki. I don't understand the name, but it doesn't matter. They're insect people that evolve, and they have a lot of lore. So I'm going to be reading a lot of lore first, 2.5 pages. So if you want to skip to the heritages, cool, click there. Well, not click there. Go to that time. I'm going to go through the lore now for those that are still with me, which is probably almost everybody. Because if you like insect people, you want to know how the insect people fit into Golarion. Surki. Surkis are an insectile species who subsist on the latent magic in the world around them. As a subterranean species native to the Darklands, Surkis have rarely been seen on the surface, and always with long pauses between historical sightings. This is due to Surki's life cycle, long dormancies followed by so-called generation digs, as they migrate great distances in response to happenings around the world. The healing of the world wound I have to stop for a moment. Surki, really? It just looks like circus when you're reading it, and so my brain says circus before I correct it. Just, could you chosen a slightly different, less silly name? Whatever. The healing of the world wound initiated one of the largest such digs in their history, bringing Surkis up into the caverns and passages of the Sarkoris Scar, and emerging onto the surface for the first time in many years. Since their emergence, several small Surki settlements have been established in secluded corners of Sarkoris, voraciously cataloging the wildlife, magics, and various other inhabitants of the area as they explore the alien environment of the surface. So they're from underground. It's very interesting. Rather than consuming food conventionally, Surkis are filter feeders, absorbing magic from the air, soil, plants, stone, and practically any other material. I want to pause here for a moment. Filter feeders, absorbing from air, soil, plant, stone, any other material. Does that mean that they eat just anything? Or they like rub it against their grills and suck the magic out? Like, how are they filtering this? Anyway. This magic is refined and sequestered in nodes throughout a Surki's body over the course of their life cycle, which is comprised of 3 distinct phases: larva, adult, and evolved. At each stage, Surkis use their stockpiled magic to undergo a dramatic metamorphosis into their next stage of life, evolving adaptations that will help them survive in any environment. Surkis, therefore, vary dramatically on an individual level. Each Surki tells the story of their adventures and their chosen role in the environment and their unique combination of adaptations. If you want to play a character who's exploring Golarion for the first time, with limitless adaptability and a strong tie to magic, you should play a Surki. Before this goes on, something that it doesn't mention in here, which I'm a bit surprised by, is that their native language seems to be composed of hitting their carapace, because it refers later to communicating with others using their exoskeleton, and that non-exoskeletal ancestries, different creatures that don't have their outside armor, can't speak their language. They're just unable to, because they don't have the means to hit themselves. It's interesting. All right. As a Surki, you might feel a very strong connection to the world around you, sensing the latent magic in everything. You might be driven to travel far or learn as much as you can about your home. You might pay particular attention to the way others live in environments unfamiliar to you. Others probably mistake your individuality and excitement for your adaptations as boastful pride. They may find your excitement for new people, places, and things endearing and inspirational. They may trust your magical senses over their own maps in tight situations. That's interesting. Physical description. Each of Surki's 3 life stages greatly differ. Larval Surkis spend the first 10 to 100 years of their lives dormant inside their eggs, waiting to emerge when they've accumulated enough latent magic and the environmental conditions are just right. Larval Surkis are roughly 2 feet long and grub-like, with several luminescent nodes visible through their translucent flesh. So they look like a big maggot that glows. Their heads are chitinous, round, and eyeless, and they navigate primarily using the ability to smell magic. 4 of their 6 legs are small, but the front set are large, powerful digging claws. that they use to tunnel through the earth and to communicate with the other larvae in their generation dig as they travel from their nest home. Once they've traveled far and accumulated enough magic, they enter a cocoon for several days, emerging as the adult form that's seen most often on the surface. Okay, so I guess they're a bit more like caterpillars than maggots. With claws. Adult Surkis have a roughly bipedal form standing on 2 multi-jointed limbs and having 2 arms that end in 3-fingered claws used both for digging and for producing percussive sounds used in the Surki language. They possess 2 feathery antennae and 2 long sensory barbels that sit on either side of their mandibles. Surkis have a characteristic round shape with several rust brown or orange chitinous plates along their back, and Surki clothing and fashion tend to incorporate rounded shapes or belts around and under their plates. Their magical nodes are distributed throughout their bodies, clustering in the abdomen, shoulders, and each limb. These nodes continue to accumulate magic as they age, using it to create new adaptations, often heralded by intricate luminescent patterns in the chitin surrounding the point of change. Interesting. So it might look like someone has inscribed magic on their plates, but it's natural instead. The final stage in Surki's life cycle is known as the evolved form. The final stage in Surki's lifestyle is known as the evolved form, after the Surki enters its grand metamorphosis. An adult Surki forms a chrysalis and rapidly changes over the course of a single evening. Less physically dramatic than the shift between larva and adulthood, the evolved form brings with it profound magical abilities that resulted from a lifetime of magical absorption and refinement. Evolved Surki's nodes metamorphose into complex organs capable of projecting tangible magic to a variety of ends, from digging apparatuses made out of pure force to glowing wings that defy gravity. This final form is the ultimate expression of any Surki's individuality and adaptations, a form perfectly suited to fulfill the environment they choose to inhabit or the role they wish to fill. Society. Surki society places great importance on individuality and self-expression. Every Surki is expected to find their own way of doing things, and innovation is a highly prized achievement. Now I'm picturing bug alchemists. Surkis are also very much in touch with their environment. They place no distinction between plant and animal, recognizing that every being fills an important part of the environment. This quality has led Surkis to create settlements that leave as little impact on the environment as possible, weaving silks around plants and fungi to coax them to grow into shelters and walls. Wood and other plant-based resources are seldom harvested in a manner considered traditional to most societies in Galarian. These resources are portioned out in strategically grown sections and harvested precisely enough to not kill the plant if possible. Surki relationships are focused on complementing adaptations. Surkis are generally polyamorous and might maintain a close bond with numerous others. Surkis are a single-sex species, and while they understand concepts of gender and orientation as experienced by other ancestries, many Surkis find the idea of choosing not to bond with someone based on anatomy or personal descriptions absurd. Okay. That's interesting. They're basically asexual, but not aromantic. They instead choose to pursue those with personalities, talents, or adaptations that augment their own in unexpected ways, such as using woven silks to reinforce a tunnel dig through loose rock. Nevertheless, attraction in Surki society is as complicated an idea as in any other. And bonded Surkis will often express their feelings toward a loved one with a personal description that expresses something they value within the relationship. Interesting. For example, a Surki might introduce a partner as who speaks quietly and makes my soil richer. That's interesting. Like, here's my wife. She goes by Schmoopsy-Poo. Only adult Surkis are capable of reproducing, which they do through parthenogenesis. Any adult Surki can lay an egg when they choose, though because the process expends so much of the magic stored in their nodes, few Surkis lay more than one egg every few years. Many of these eggs are kept in a protected area of the settlement, awaiting the next generation dig. When the eggs are ready, they hatch en masse, and the larvae coordinate their departure, drawn to magic like a beacon tunneling through the earth and stone to find a new place to settle. Dude, can I get to my mouse? I can't reach my mouse. Thank you. Familial life vastly differs for Surkis. Eggs laid outside of a generation dig are cared for and tended by the Surki parent until the grub emerges. New village grubs are typically left to their own devices, allowed to venture outside the village or even leave the community altogether. Often, village grubs find their first homes in the soil of the community farms, where they feed on the natural magic within the soil and plant life. These gardens double as schools for these grubs, as the adult and evolved Surkis who tend the gardens regularly converse with the grubs, thumping and scraping out the stories of their young lives and the lessons they've learned from others. That's interesting. It's like language by tremor sense. Surki grubs born early or those whose nodes don't function well are often bonded with Austiles, small amorphous symbiotes that augment the grub's ability to absorb nutrients from magic. The Austile is part of an archetype that is for Surkis in this book. Dude, what are you doing? Okay. Yeah, I have to be able to work though, honey. Yeah, I love you too, but I gotta work. Surkis choose their names when they enter adolescence. Every Surki has a name referred to as their root or grub name that's produced solely with the forelimbs. That's interesting. Adults commonly incorporate all or part of their root name preceding their chosen name, though it isn't expected to be repeated, especially by those of other ancestries who don't possess the exoskeleton necessary to pronounce the name. The root name, while shown proudly, is considered the personal property of the Surki who possesses it, and repetition of the root portion of a Surki's name is considered rude by most, tantamount to theft. Surki's chosen names typically represent a personal quality that they admire most or an achievement they take pride in. As Surkis age, they might change their chosen name to better fit who they feel they've become. When Surkis die, any present tense verbs used in their names become past tense. That makes sense because they're in the past. Sample names: bearer of heavy boulders, weaver of intricate webs, with the deftest song, who shines brightly, whose patterns are bold, whose voice is music. Those just sound like titles for the exemplar. But okay, that's fine. It's very unique. It's very interesting. And it doesn't have a period at the end of that sentence. It's broken. Beliefs. Surki's connection to their environment leads them to typically worship natural deities. Their own ancient traditions identify each creature as possessing a unique spirit, with keystone species occupying a deific role within their ecosystem. Surki traditions dictate that Surkis and other cultures aren't part of this spirit cycle, though with time, care, and practice, one can be accepted into it with the blessing of the environment's keystone species. Okay, interesting. Among Surki communities in Sarkoris, worship of Gozra and Sturovenin has grown quickly. Surkis who dedicate themselves to a deity are more likely to choose one representing their own environment or the natural world as a whole. Deities whose domains include travel or change are also popular among Surki devotees. It's very important to Surkis that life be allowed to follow its natural course. Death, violence, and war all have their place and purpose. How is war natural? Whatever. They're like, this is so you can kill monsters. There's a reason. Popular edicts. Encourage others to discover their true selves. I like that. Protect and nurture natural ecosystems. Work with others to promote symbiotic relationships. That's neat. They're conservationists. Popular anathema. Force another to change before they're ready. Why is there only one? Like, most people hate more than one thing. I totally see these creatures being like elitist about how to pronounce their names. Like, no, this isn't going to work. Okay, no, if you want to be able to pronounce my name correctly, I have to put these bracers on you. Where's your armor? Where is your armor? Okay, get your breastplate out. Put it against that rock. No, tilt it slightly. Now go over to it and bang on it. Oh, that sounded so terrible. Let me guide you. Now we begin Surki heritages. Surkis emerge from their larval stage with some adaptations already in place. Though not all are the same, those represented below are among the most common. Surki heritages have multiple possible evolutions, which are accessed by taking the Grand Metamorphosis feat. So I find this interesting in that these heritages aren't from different locales. They're not influenced by different, like, You have winter Surki and Surki who grew up in jungles. They're all from the earth, but they have different natural evolutions, even though they might have all come from the same place. That's kind of cool. It's a way of having many heritages in one location, or in multiple locations if you want for your world. The first heritage, Breaker Surki. Your claws are especially hard and can break through earth and predators alike. You gain a claw unarmed attack that deals 1d4 slashing damage. Your claws are in the brawling group and have the agile, finesse, unarmed, and versatile B traits. I'm going to mention the evolutions that each of these heritages get. However, the evolution can only be taken by 9th level feat. So for many of you, it won't matter, except for flavor. And like maybe your character is working toward that or looking forward to it. But remember, 9th level is evolutions. You can take that feat multiple times, but it's just the one feat that gives evolutions. Breaker Surki Evolution. The first one. Your wrist nodes project magic into a durable digging wedge. You can spend an interact action to increase your claw unarmed attacks damage to 1d6. Granted the magical, raising, and versatile force traits, and remove the agile trait. Raising means it does extra damage to objects. You can spend another action to deactivate the wedge and return your claw to its normal statistics. Evolution. The second. Your ankle nodes can emit grounding claw spikes of magic to hold you in place. That's what's on your screen right now if you're curious. If any effect would force you to move 10 feet or more, you can choose to move only half the distance. The extra traction from your claw spikes allows you to climb with one hand occupied or with both hands occupied if you have the combat climber feat. You gain the trench digging reaction. That's fun, extra abilities. Trench digging reaction trigger. You're subjected to forced movement. Effect. You deploy your claw spikes to churn the earth asunder, creating difficult terrain in each square of ground you're moved through. Okay. I guess I see that, because if you're subjected to forced movement, you're pushed back, and you're making the path in front of you difficult terrain. So it's harder for your opponent to move away from you. Okay, I guess I see the point. Like, it's not always going to be useful, but it is an extra little side benefit of the evolution. Next heritage, Elytron Surki. Next heritage, Elytron Surki. The top layer of your carapace is especially mobile, and you can unfurl it to catch the air gracefully as you fall. You take no damage from falling, regardless of the distance you fall. Evolution. Your shoulder nodes have evolved into a pair of spines that you can energize to protect a pair of First evolution of the Elytron Surki. Your shoulder nodes have evolved into a pair of spines that you can energize to project a pair of glowing wings. You can cast Fly as an innate spell once per day, targeting yourself. While your wings are energized, you shed bright light in a 20-foot radius and dim light for the next 20 feet. That is quite dramatic. I like the drama. And, of course, everybody wants to be able to fly. And at 9th level, that's when pretty much everybody gets the ability to fly. But because of that, you could just get a broom of flying instead of just flying once a day. Just saying. Another evolutional option for the Elytron Surki. Your shoulder nodes have evolved into a fan of thin membranes that resonate when magic is coursed through them. You gain the stridulating song action, so you're a part cricket. Stridulating song, 2 actions. Auditory, magical, frequency once per day. Effect. You circulate magic through your wings, causing them to vibrate at high speeds such that their scraping produces disruptive sounds. You focus the sound at one creature within 30 feet who must succeed at a fortitude save against your class DC or spell DC, whichever is higher, or become sickened 1, or sickened 2 on a critical failure, as the vibrations disrupt its inner equilibrium. That's kind of gross and interesting. You can sustain the effect for up to a minute. Ah, wow. The creature can't recover from the sickened condition as long as you continue your song and it can hear you. I see how this would actually work as like a taunting ability for an enemy, because they would want you to shut the hell up so that they stop feeling sick. So this heritage and this heritage evolution could work quite well for somebody who's trying to be a tank, like a guardian, because it bothers someone so badly that it disrupts everything that they do, and it will only stop if you choose to stop. So they'll probably want to kill you. I like that. That's cool. Next heritage, Hard Shell Surki. Your carapace is much denser than that of other Surkis, offering you a suit of your very own armor, like many other ancestries. Your carapace has medium armor in the plate armor group that grants a +4 item bonus to AC, a dex cap of +1, a check penalty of -2, a speed penalty of -5 feet, a strength value of 16, and has the comfort trait. It better have the comfort trait. You can never wear other armor or remove your carapace. You can etch armor runes onto your carapace. First evolution. The magical circulatory system that runs between your nodes has become a reinforcing network that strengthens your carapace with magical energy. That's cool. If you're struck by a critical hit that deals physical damage, you can use your reaction to attempt a DC 17 flat check. If successful, the attack becomes a normal hit. There's no limit on doing that. Just every time somebody critically hits you. As long as you have a reaction. Every time. Wow. Oh, that's cool. Alright, second evolutional option, which you're not going to pick because the first one's bullshit. Your abdominal nodes can project a field around you that guards you against the type of magic you're most familiar with. You gain the Dampening Harmonics action. Dampening Harmonics, 2 actions, magical, frequency once per hour, effect. You establish a force field that grants you resistance 10 to damage dealt by spells and magical abilities with the trait of your Magiphage ability. You have to choose a magical tradition for what kind of magic you eat. I'll go over that in a sec. Except you don't gain resistance to force damage no matter what. The force field lasts for 10 minutes. Each time the field prevents damage, the duration decreases by 1 minute. Next heritage, Lantern Surki. The nodes in your abdomen are particularly luminous. You can use an interact action to shed light from your abdomen in a 20-foot radius, and dim light for the next 20 feet. This is a magical light effect with a level equal to your own. You can change the color of the light or extinguish it with another interact action. First evolution. Your abdominal nodes have evolved into a pair of secondary limbs that project a magical focusing lens. You gain the Lantern Beam action. Lantern Beam, 1 action, light, fire, magical. Requirements. Your lantern light is shining. Effect. Your lenses focus your light into a searing beam. You deal 5d4 fire damage to all creatures in a 30-foot line with a basic saving throw against the higher of your class DC or spell DC. Your lantern light then extinguishes and you can't use this ability or use your lantern light again for 1d4 rounds. That's fine. Oh, that's great. That's Dragon Breath. That is Dragon's Breath. That is neat. At 11th level and every 2 levels thereafter, the damage increases by d4. I like it. It's good. I would like it if you could choose a different element besides fire. Like electricity. There are insects that generate their own electricity. Why not electricity? Or hell, force, because it's magic. Second evolutional option. Secondary light emitters grow from your shoulder nodes that flash in time with your lantern. You gain the Lantern Strobe action, also known as the Party Bug. Lantern Strobe, 2 actions, light, magical, visual. Frequency once per hour, effect. As you pulse your lantern, your emitters flash erratically, disorienting your opponents that see it. Each opponent in a 15-foot cone must attempt a fortitude save against your class DC or spell DC, whichever is higher. On a failure, the creature is dazzled for 1 round. On a critical failure, the creature is blinded for 1 round and dazzled for the following round. There needs to be some impact on that for, like, fear, because, like, if you've ever been in a haunted house, it's always either dim, dark, or flashing lights. It's more impacting to see things get to you in stages that looks like it's teleporting every several feet. It's just, I don't know. I think you should do that. Now we begin the Ancestry feats. Next, I'll go to the base Ancestry features. Rarity, rare. Hit points, 8. Size, medium. Speed, 25. Attribute boosts, Constitution, and free. Languages, common and Surki, and additional languages equal to your intelligence modifier. Traits, humanoid and Surki. Dark vision. You can see in darkness and dim light. You know what dark vision is. Magiphage. I'm going to read this one. The various nodes throughout your body draw in latent magic from the world around you. You don't need to eat or drink unless you're in an especially magic-poor environment, such as the mana wastes, which everyone hates, but I like running. Choose what tradition of magic you must consume Choose what tradition of magic you most consumed as a larva. This type of magic has become so ingrained in your body that it changes the tradition of all Surki spells and magical actions to that tradition. So you're an arcane bug, or you're a primal bug, or you're an occult bug, or you're a divine bug. Holy beetle. First level feats. Sequestered spell. You consumed so much of a type of magic as a larva that you can now cast it purely on instinct. Choose one cantrip from the spell list of your Magiphage ability. You can cast this cantrip as an innate spell at will. A cantrip is heightened to a spell rank equal to half your level rounded up, because it's a cantrip. Next first level feat, Small Speak. You understand the languages of most small insects and can speak to them. You can ask questions of, receive answers from, and use the diplomacy skill with insects, arthropods, and terrestrial invertebrates. The GM determines which creatures count for this ability. I love that ability. You can talk to bugs constantly at first level. Do you know how many bugs there are in the world? I mean, I don't either, but there's a lot. You know how many places there are bugs? Virtually everywhere. This is more useful of any of the I can talk with this thing that's similar to my ancestry feat that other ancestries might have. Because you can always talk to something that lives in the area that might know something. This is a really good ability. Next first level feat, Surki Lore. Either through the tales of elders in your settlement or through the messages thumped by those who oversaw your generation dig. Just hitting your shell. You hold the knowledge of many Surkis before you. You become trained in survival and the skill associated with your magical tradition from your Magiphage ability. That's cool. You get to choose your own ancestry lore. Arcana for arcane, nature for primal, occultism for occult, or religion for divine, obviously. If you would automatically become trained in one of those skills from your background or class, for example, you instead become trained in a skill of your choice like usual. You also gain the additional lore general feat for Surki Lore. Next first level feat, Surki Weapon Familiarity. Surki weapons favor utility and practicality over grace and brutality. You have familiarity with picks, light hammers, sickles, scythes, and one additional common weapon of your choice from the axe or hammer group. For the purposes of proficiency, you treat any of these that are martial weapons as simple weapons and any that are advanced weapons as martial weapons. At 5th level, whenever you get a critical hit with one of these weapons, you get its critical specialization effect. I think this should also apply to, like, claws. They should be unarmed as well. I mean, you're a fucking bug. You use claws primarily. Now, why don't you have that as a base ability? Being able to claw people. Like, you tunnel through rock. Why can't you claw people? Oh well. Next first level feat, Vestigial Magic Sense. While most Surki's ability to taste magic fades once they metamorphose into their adult form, replaced by keener dark vision, you've retained some of this sense. You gain Magic Sense as a vague sense that has a range of 30 feet. Yes! Like all vague senses, it's only about as precise as an average human sense of smell, meaning you generally can predict only if magic is present. However, each tradition of magic has a unique taste to you, allowing you to identify the tradition of magic present. I think this is more useful than Detect Magic, because it's always active. You don't have to spend actions. You don't have to be like, okay, I'm moving to the room, Detect Magic, Detect Magic, Detect Magic. It just gets boring and annoying after a while. Why do you have claws? You should have claws. 5th level, Chemical Trail. Level 5 feat. It is Exploration. You can leave a faint chemical trail as you move and can use the chemical trails of other Surkis to navigate. You gain a +1 circumstance bonus to all checks and saves to sense direction or reorient yourself. I think that anybody who uses scent to track you should get the same bonus. Yeah, it helps your enemies, but also helps out your allies, theoretically. It could be a fun little thing. Talk to your GM today. Secondary adaptation, level 5 feat. You've continued to adapt to the rigors of your environment by continuing your metamorphosis, even as an adult. Choose one Surki heritage that you don't already have. You gain that heritage and its benefits. Fuck yes. This is awesome. So you could have Surki as your ancestry, take a versatile heritage, and then at 5th level, pick up a base Surki heritage. You can double up on heritages this way. This is so cool. Yes, I like this very much. And just to clarify, in case you're already thinking about it, the evolutionary feat at 9th level only applies to one of your heritages. So even if you have multiple Surki heritages and you take that the evolution feat, only one of them gains an evolutional advantage. So you can't like double up on it. It would be really cheesy if you could and cool. Because it's a 9th level feat. God, you gotta wait for so long for it anyway. Should be a 5th level feat. I know, it doesn't fit the system then. Like automatons, they have to wait till 9th level. But you know what? Fuck automatons. That's what I say. Next level, 5 feet. Tunnel roll. 2 actions. This is a move trait. You can more easily navigate underground tunnels by rolling up into a ball. I kind of love this. You roll up and move up to 4 times your speed in a straight line down an incline. Okay. If you reach the bottom of the incline or hit an obstacle during this first turn of movement, you stop rolling. Okay. Otherwise, you automatically keep rolling at this speed during subsequent turns until you hit the bottom of the incline or an obstacle ends this movement, which can happen in the middle of your turn. You're slowed to each turn after the first that you keep rolling. Oh. Because you're basically using this action every turn. Okay. If you hit an obstacle on a turn after the first, you and the obstacle both take 4d6 bludgeoning damage and you stop rolling. Okay, no. If you take this at 5th level, it's not going to kill you if you run into something. I was just wondering if you could have so few hit points that it could kill you. No, you can't. Because it does 24 damage at most. This could be really fun to roleplay. I don't see this coming up much for non-roleplay reasons. Like, what's going to happen? You're in the middle of a combat and your GM says, oh, and there's a hill that's, what's your movement rate? 100 feet long. You can get away from this guy or catch up to him if you know what? If the GM was going to do that, they could do that anyway by being like, and there happens to be a rock sled. Yes, it's a sled that's meant for rocky hills. You can get in the rock sled and skid down the hill at 4 times your movement rate for 2 actions. So this doesn't really do anything except it's funny. If you want to take a feat for funny, take this. 9th level feats. I know they don't have a lot of feats, do they? Like they should have at least more 5th level feats. 9th level. Consume magic. Frequency once per hour. Trigger, you attempt a saving throw against an area effect from the tradition magicking. Consume magic. Level 9 feat. Frequency once per hour. Trigger, you attempt a saving throw against an area effect from the tradition matching your Magiphage ability. You consume the magic of an incoming spell or effect to protect your allies, though you might give yourself indigestion. Oh, too much magic. Attempt to counteract check against the triggering effect. Your counteract rank equals half your level, rounded up. And for the roll, use either your class DC minus 10 or your spellcasting attribute modifier plus your spellcasting proficiency bonus, like you would expect. If you counteract the triggering effect, you end the effect for all other creatures in the area, but you become sickened 1 as your body struggles to absorb the influx of magic. It's cute. It is useful. It is. It's also cute. Once per hour. The critical hit avoidance 1 is much better. I know, that's not a feat, but you can only get it by taking a 9th level feat, the one I'm about to explain. Grand Metamorphosis. One of your nodes has adapted into a new magic-emitting organ. You gain one of the evolutions from your Surki heritage. If you have multiple heritages, you choose one to evolve. Special. You can take this feat multiple times, gaining a new evolution each time. The evolution can be for a heritage you've already evolved or a different one. So you could get 2 evolutions for 1 heritage. And that's cool. Like if you want to focus on wings and being able to both fly and make somebody sick from a distance by rubbing your wings together. Next, actually last, level 9 feat, Nodal Healing. You can induce wound repair by circulating magic throughout your body. If you rest for 10 minutes, you regain hit points equal to your Constitution modifier times half your level. This is a magical healing effect and is cumulative with any healing you receive from treat wounds. I see this as completely pointless because you will just treat wounds. If you have 10 minutes to use treat wounds, you have 20 minutes to use treat wounds twice. Meh. 13th level, Generation Digger. You're so adept at burrowing through the earth that you don't even need tools. In fact, you just might be trusted to lead the latest generation dig. You gain a burrow speed of 15 feet. 15 feet at level 13? Fuck that. You gain 25 feet, I say. Or the feat is 5th level. Because just silly. Why wait? Nobody's going to take that. Like, if you have nothing else to take, maybe. See, this is why I have so many builds and I've helped so many people make characters that take versatile heritages, because there aren't enough cool feats for each level that people would want to take. You kind of have to branch out. I don't know how to pronounce this. Magitaxis? It's a reaction. It's spelled Magitaxis. Magitaxis? Level 13 feat. Prerequisites vestigial magic sense. So you have to be able to sense magic in 30 feet. Trigger. A creature you could reach with a stride action casts a spell from the tradition matching your Magiphage ability. You move reflexively toward the source of magic you most consumed as a larva. You stride, and you must end your movement adjacent to the triggering creature. You then can't use Magitaxis against the triggering creature for 24 hours as your reflexes reacclimate, though you can use it against other creatures. You can use Magitaxis while burrowing, climbing, flying, or swimming instead of striding, changing the trigger accordingly if you have the corresponding movement type. I don't think that's worth it. Because it's so restrictive for such a high cost. You have to take a feat before this to get to this. Then you have to wait till level 13 to do this. And you have to spend your reaction, and all you get is a stride action. And then you can't use it against that creature for 24 hours. What are the chances that you're going to have multiple creatures in the enemies that you're fighting that all use that use magic and that use the same magical tradition as your Magiphage ability? So you can use this more than once in a fight. Pretty fucking low. I think it'd be best if you had a feat to just increase your speed by 5 feet. I don't think this is worth it. Argue with me. I want to hear. Level 17. Unlimited pluripotency. Within all Surkis is the capacity to be whatever they need to be, and you can tap into that capacity even now. When you sleep, you can choose to enter a pupa state. You sleep so deeply in your pupa that you can't be woken up by loud noises around you, and you lose the benefits of one of your Surki heritages overnight. When you emerge and make your daily preparations, you can select a different Surki heritage to replace it. If you had one or more evolutions for that heritage, you can choose a different evolution for your new heritage. Cool. Very flavorful. Fun. I don't know, 17th level, I think you could choose something better. Like Bug Burrow. Like you suddenly move 60 feet through solid rock and you can make an attack at the end. Sort of like a purple worm. It's level 17. Come on. It should be cool. Being able to change your ancestry. There's a ritual that does this, and it's not level 17. There's also a potion that does this, and it's not level 17. This is kind of pointless. It's flavorful. That's all. Last feat. Level 17. Nodal regeneration. Prerequisites, nodal healing. So you have to be able to have that fast healing during downtime thing at level 9. Your body processes magic so effectively that you can induce true regeneration, replacing limbs and restoring organs. You can cast Regenerate once per day as an innate spell. Instead of being deactivated by acid or fire, your regeneration from the spell is deactivated by cold, which slows your metabolism. That makes sense. You can target only yourself with the spell, but you can cast the spell as a reaction if you're reduced to 0 hit points by a non-cold effect. That is cool. The ability to regenerate yourself as a reaction, awesome. That is worth a 17th level feat. That's neat. That's very useful. I don't like that you have to take nodal healing for it first because that one's shit. I'd probably just remove the prerequisite. It's just crappy. So, now we read the inset panel. Surki adventurers. Surkis are born explorers. Their innate curiosity for the world and interest in all things new, strange, and magical compel many to venture into the wild corners of Golarion. Their connection to their environment leads many to become druids and rangers, while their adaptability and knack for survival can make them imposing champions. Surkis who leave their colonies often sign on as sailors or caravan guards, though it's rare to find any Surki filling a position outside of their own colony. And that's the Surki. I hope you like your bug people. We're going to be doing a giveaway for patrons at the end of this month for one of these cool dice bags, the dragon scale bags. They're actually really stable too. I like that. Freaking huge. So if you want to be a patron, click the link in the description that says Patreon. And if you pledge $5 or more, you have a chance of winning one of these things. And we always give away something cool. It's usually dice. This is the first month. It's something to hold your dice. It's neat. I love that, like... Anyway, they're pretty. If you liked the Surki, or you don't, and you're still here, why are you here if you don't like the Surki? There is a link to the video for the Swarmkeeper archetype, or you can look at the build videos that I have made, because they're fun. We also have live streams. There's lots of fun stuff on the channel. I mean, just like, go check out stuff if you're new. Speaking of which, we do have a lot of new people. Thank you for being here. I like having you. You're beautiful. On to the next video.